The first time it was prescribed, he had opioids prescribed. He was 13 years old and he'd broken his arm, and it was a very minor break. And we took him to the emergency room and we were given a prescription for opioids. And even then, his brother actually broke his arm on the same day and he was 10, much more severe break, and he was also given a prescription for opioids. And at that time in 2007, I was already aware of the dangers. I don't know how or why. I must have read something, I knew something. So I made sure that the boys only had opioids for 3 days, and perhaps not even that long. And then the opioids we got rid of what we had. What I wasn't aware of is that medicine cabinets throughout the United States were filling with these opioids that were prescribed so freely. So that was the first access he had to opioids. The next thing that happened revolving opioids was at 18, he was an adult and he was down in San Diego, and he fell from a skateboard again and he broke his arm and he went into emergency room in San Diego. And the difference this time is he was given his own opioids to carry. And he, I'm sure, did not take them as prescribed. I found a poem that he wrote after that, and he wrote how good they made him feel, how his girlfriend liked him better when he was taking opioids, and how he got more done, how he enjoyed parties more. So clearly what was given to him was not taken as prescribed. And when he finished those, he helped himself to his girlfriend's Vicodin that she'd been prescribed for foot surgery. And then he was able to acquire them from his friends, and when he couldn't get them from friends, Craigslist, and when he could no longer get opioid pain pills, he transitioned to smoking heroin. When he started smoking heroin, I noticed the change immediately. I was very much involved in Ben's life. One of his struggles was in math, and so I would tutor him in college math. And there was this one day when he was preparing for a test and he could not retain anything. I mean, he couldn't take anything in. And I questioned him, and he didn't tell me what was going on, but I went into his bedroom and I found foils. It took me a little while to figure out what he was doing with those foils. I don't know the day it happened or the circumstances, but I'm guessing that what he would always say to me in the months that followed was, "Mum, do you not think if I could go back and say no instead of yes, I wouldn't do that?" So I'm assuming he was in a situation where his friends were smoking heroin and they said, "Oh, come on, Ben." And so he tried it and he liked it. One of the problems with substance use is at first denial that there's a problem. So obviously, when you're on the outside looking into this problem, you recognize there's a problem, but Ben did not recognize or accept that he had a problem. So those open conversations no longer occur. It's just, he denies it, and we are challenging him with it, and obviously that affects the relationship in a very negative way. He came back out from San Diego, and that there were questions that I asked surrounding that prescription. I wanted him to hand it over to me, and he would not. Ben was in a treatment center in Costa Mesa, his second inpatient treatment care, and he walked out on day 54 with 2 other people, and he met up with an old high school friend locally, and there were 4 people in the car. They all used heroin, and they drove to a nearby bank, just a couple of miles from our home, and the 3 people that Ben were with, I spoke to one of them subsequently, and this is part of my trainings when I train people in overdose prevention, is he died over a period of time. I mean, they used heroin, the 3 of them, the 4 of them together, and they drove to the bank, and they described how Ben's breathing changed and how he became less verbally responsive. And by the time they got to the bank, Ben was struggling to breathe. And they got out of the car and they locked the door and left Ben inside the bank. And when they came back to the car, Ben was turning purple. And, part of the story is they were extremely frightened. And the way that the law is set up, they were frightened of calling 911. And so they removed all traces of Ben's presence in the car and dragged Ben from the car. And by chance, a friend from high school came out to the bank and he started CPR, and he managed to get a pulse by the time paramedics got there. And so Ben was transported to the hospital, and every effort to save him was made. After Ben was transferred to the hospital, one of those young men posted on Facebook that Ben was in a coma. And as I said, I was in England thinking that Ben was safe in rehab. And I woke up on I think it was the 10th of October in a hotel room in London where I was staying with my mother. And the post just said, my best friend is in a coma. Please pray for him. There, by the grace of God, was I. That was one of the kids in the vehicle.